Hi everybody, welcome back on my channel, Solish Femme. This is your fabulous girlfriend here, Glenaville Manarang. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome to my channel. And if you're returning subscribers and viewers, thank you for coming back. Now, I know I've been really spontaneous lately. I have no specific schedule. I'm deciding between Mondays and Thursdays. I don't know yet. Today's topic is about the impact our words make. Let's continue on the series of communication skills because we all want to grow and learn how to communicate effectively, efficiently, and also with clarity. I'm pretty sure if you're interested on that subject, because we're all about self-development, application with God's word. God's word is practical, and therefore there's a lot of verses today. As I was praying about this topic, and I asked the Holy Spirit, what is words? And lo and behold, words are not just words. The word became flesh and dwelt among us. In John somewhere, Jesus became the flesh. He was the word. So God revealed to me, either your tongue is governed by hell, set by fire, or is it governed by God himself? Life and death, remember what the Bible says, brings forth, the tongue comes out, life or death, blessings and cursings. So there are only two camps here, the good or the evil, life or death, blessings and cursings. There's nothing in between. That's why we have to choose life. That's what Deuteronomy said, I have come before you that you may have life and death, blessings and cursings. Now choose life. So the impact of our words, as I said, words are not just words. What comes out of your mouth, that defiles a man. It's not what you think. Although what comes out of your mouth, rather, is what you've been thinking about. So our body, our heart, and our mouth are all connected together. They are all intertwined. You cannot separate the three. So whatever is going on in your heart, a man who's been ruminating bad thoughts, as what Jesus said, for from within our psyche, our soul, out of the heart of man, the inner self, proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, fornications, murders, thefts, covetousness, wickedness, deceitfulness, lewdness, an evil eye, blasphemy, pride, and foolishness. This is found in Mark 7:20-23. So what you say is more likely what you've been thinking about, what you've been ruminating. That's what I said. All of these evil things come from within, which is within your psyche, your inner man. What have you been thinking about? What have you been pondering about? And that defiles a man or a woman. What you say, curse words, profanity, slander, gossip, ill will, wishing someone's demise, these are defiling a human body. Not what you think, but what you say. Matthew 12:34-35 says, brood of vipers, how can you being evil speak good things? For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Again, Jesus said it in Matthew 12. The abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So the abundance of your heart. What does your heart contain? What is the content of your heart? A good man, out of the good treasure of his heart, brings forth good things. An evil man, out of an evil treasure, brings forth evil things. What is the treasure of your heart? Good treasure of the heart is the collection. It is what does your heart contain? Hatred, bitterness, resentment, jealousy, anger, all of these things will eventually going to come out of your mouth because that's what you been thinking about. The good treasure, if you want to be a good man, watch what you say. Just what are the kind of words you use? Are you usually highly critical, judgmental, belittling? I mean, most of us are not even aware of the things that we say, especially when we are triggered or angry, because these are adapted habits. Most of our words that come out of our mouth are habitual. These are things that we have copied, we have emulated from someone, from our parents, our co-workers, our friendships, the people that we surround ourselves with. Somehow, these are the words that we say when we're angry. We're just like a computer. We are programmable. Whatever comes into our mind, we usually get programmed. We think about them, and we don't really acknowledge them or correct them. So in order for us to pay attention to what we say, we have to listen to the words that comes out of our mouth, even what we say to ourselves. A good treasure of his heart, it is the collection. What have you been thinking about? So Proverbs 2:10, it says, when wisdom enters your heart and knowledge is pleasant to your soul, discretion will preserve you, understanding will keep you. When a good man's treasure comes out of his heart is wisdom, knowledge that keeps your soul. Wisdom, as I said, it is the accumulation of knowledge. Wisdom is acquiring of knowledge. It is about learning. And then the understanding is the application. So it says here that when you have understanding and knowledge, it is a pleasant thing to your soul, because when a person is fully knowledgeable, when a person is wise, he speaks life. He speaks words of encouragement and not death. One of the saying in the book, Highly Effective People, that I've been reading about, he also talked about our communication. And one of the things the author said, Covey, he said that we need to re-script most of our communication skills, because most of us were handed over an old scripting based on our upbringing. If your mom and dad were yellers, they were impatient to you, they usually criticize you as a child. If you're not aware of it, if you want to change the generational course of your life, you must stop that generational curse and you must re-script. He thinks about us like the programmer of our life. We have to reprogram our system here. We have to change the whole course and unlearn about the bad habits of how we communicate. I have a struggle with openness because as a child, I've internalized a lot of things. I keep things to myself. I have a hard time expressing how I feel because I was not allowed to do so. That's why as an adult, I need to re-script that, and I have to be willing to be open and be vulnerable and share how I truly feel without internalizing everything, because sometimes when you suppress a lot of emotion, that becomes a problem, and that shows that you're going to eventually get triggered and you become volatile eventually. So he said that re-scripting is being aware of what you say to your children and how you address the issue. Because as I said, if your parents have been very impatient with you and they've been very highly critical, most likely you're going to copy that behavior and you are going to pass that on to your children. Now, if you are willing enough as an adult to change that, then you must do the work. You must learn how to communicate effectively and how to re-script your whole psyche. That's why Proverbs 2:1-12 says, my son or daughter, if you receive my words and treasure my commands within you, so that you incline your ear to wisdom and apply your heart to understanding. The Bible, especially in the book of Proverbs, it talks about wisdom and understanding. In all you're getting, get wisdom, get understanding. It doesn't say in all you're getting, accumulate wealth, accumulate money, accumulate fame. Wisdom is something that you put in your mind. No one can take that away from you. Money comes and goes. You will lose possessions instantly, but no one can take your knowledge. No one can take that away from you. It is something that you have achieved and accumulated. And if you are a person that is wise, most likely you're going to have emotional intelligence. So part of the impact of our words is teaching our lips of what to say. Our words are what we think about, what we accumulate through life experiences, through learning, influence, environment, and our culture. And when you go to James 3:1-12, the Bible talks about James 3:3, the simile of what the tongue is. So part of our emotional intelligence is controlling the words that comes out of our mouth, not the thoughts that you've been thinking about. As I said, yes, it is important to think about what you've been thinking about. That's why go to the root causes of your problem. Heal from your traumas. You have to find out why are you triggered with certain words. Why are you triggered? Why people would say something to you and you get easily triggered and you are pissed off when they say something, because that is what you have been pondering about. You did not deal with that pain. You have not dealt with that issues. And so when I was a child, there was a lot of internalized negative words that someone told me. And as an adult, I didn't realize that those words were triggering until I had to heal from those words. And that's why James says, tongue is like bits in horses' mouths, that they may obey us and return their whole body. So these are the simile of the tongue. We put bits in horses' mouth that we may obey us, that they may obey us and return their whole body. Look also at ships. Although they are so large and are driven by fierce winds, they are turned by a very small rudders whenever the plot desires. Even so, the tongue is a little member and boasts great things, and the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. The tongue is so set among our members that it defiles the whole body, and it is set on fire by hell. That's what I said. Your words are either governed by God or by hell. Remember what this word says? Even James, the brother of Jesus, emphasizes of what Jesus said in Matthew. What defiles a man is what comes out of your mouth. And he said this, the tongue is so set among our members that it is defiled, the whole body, and it is set on fire by hell. Who is in hell? Satan, who is going to either tell you to say things that are bad words or negative words or cursing or ill will towards a person. That's what I said. There are only two camps in this world. Either you're speaking words of life or speaking words of death, blessings or cursing. It's either from hell or is it from God. There's really nothing in between. That is the distinction that you have to make. And God has been making me aware of the words that comes out of my mouth. Affirmations is crucially important. We know that sometimes we associate affirmations with New Age, but it's actually biblical. Because when you read the Bible, there's somewhere there that Jesus said, let the weak say, I am strong. Let the poor say, I am rich. So affirmations, what you say to yourself in the mirror, is crucially important, essentially beneficial to you, because the more you say, I am ugly, I am fat, I am broke, I am depressed, you are going to envelop that energy. Words are energy. There are seeds that you place in people's heart and mind, especially to yourself, to your children. These are seeds that you're planting right now. And if the more and more you speak those words of life, that will show forth eventually. In the same way, when you speak ill will towards other people, they're also going to internalize that. And most likely, they're going to be depressed, and most likely they're not going to be the best version of themselves. I really think, this is my theory, majority of people are in jail right now who have done bad things, incarcerated men and maybe women alike. I believe they were abused as a child and they were taught and spoken words of death. If you're a child and your parents have been speaking to you, you're going to go to jail, you suck, you are a coward, or you are a loser, you're never going to mount up to anything, you are prophesying death to your kids. That's why as a mother, as a parent, we must be careful of what kind of words we use to our kids. Now, it's not perfection, okay? I have a fair share when I'm angry, when I'm triggered. I'm also sometimes cursed at my son. I yell at my son and I apologize because I would just feel bad after that. But sometimes you're just a parent. you are also tired, and sometimes you're triggered. And the part of being a parent is you learn to apologize when you make mistakes, because at least your kids know that you're also a human being who is fragile, who also is fallible, that you're not perfect. And so when we fall into short, when we curse at our children and we make mistakes of belittling them or criticizing them when we're not supposed to, we must also admit that, confess with our mouth, acknowledge it, and say, I apologize for saying those words, because as I said, we are accountable to what we say. And that's why Jesus is also saying, what comes out of your mouth, that defiles you. That's why the triggers of your life, the things that traumatize you, you have bitterness and resentment, and it comes out of your mouth because you have been hurt by people, you have been wounded. Majority of my trigger or my wounds is because of the pain that I was carrying. And so when you are going to that relationship or to have another relationship in your life, you're going to bring that toxicity and the negativity in your life. That's why awareness and self-awareness of where does this come from? Is it really me? Are these really to my core value? Are these really the things that I want to say to my children? Are these the kind of words that I want to speak to my husband? How would I like to address this issue? That's why communication is one of the most complicated but essentially important that we must all learn and develop. That's why the words that we say can be very impactful, not just to ourselves, but the people around us. That's why you set the tone. If you have been speaking ill will and you have been criticizing other people, because I have been doing that, because my parents, my dad especially, was highly critical. He was always he used profanity. Every time he would be mad at me, he would use the B word and he would, curse me out. And that's why sometimes you just step back and ask yourself the questions, are these really who I am? Or are these my parents scripting? Is this my own words, or is this my mother scripting? Is this my father scripting? And we have to at least acknowledge that I don't want to be like this person. I don't want to copy their bad behavior. I don't want to be like them. So we have the chance, when we're self-aware, to change that and correct it and learn from their mistakes and unlearn from their bad habits, so that our children's children are not going to suffer continually because of our words. And that's why that is all that the impact of our words is very important. Watch what you say, and before you say that it takes a lot of work, it does. Before you give up and throw the towel and says this is a lot of work, because it is. Self-development and changing yourself and unlearning bad behavior and patterns takes time. It is a habit. You have to do it consistently, and you have to be aware. Of course, there are days that you're going to fall off the wagon. There are days that you're not going to get it right 100%, but you don't stop there. You have to pick up where you left off and continue on. As I said on my last video, change must start within us. Change must start with you. It doesn't start outside. It doesn't start from your children or your spouse or your friendships. You have to set the tone. You have to be the change. And so if you are going to change, you are going to influence people around you. And I have been tested recently. When you are trying to learn something, especially in communication, I have been tested. In the past few days, God has been trying to test me if I can apply His principles, especially when we are arguing with someone, there's conflict. And one of the ways we can also alleviate any conflict is to be silent. There is a time to be quiet, especially when you're inside the car of someone. Avoid road rage, because conflict in the car is deadly too. That's why the Bible is speaking to women also when Peter said, women, you must learn to be silent, quietness, and gentleness, because the tongue of a woman is deadly. This tongue is a weapon that when we criticize our husband, they get easily triggered. And that's why Peter rather said that as a woman, the precious beauty that is so adorned, that must be adorned, is the hidden person of the heart. As a woman, we must be selective. I'm learning that now, that not everything comes out in your head. You must share it to your husband. Not the first thought or the second thought, especially when you are triggered, especially when you are in the heat of the argument. Sometimes as a woman, we have to just be quiet and learn to just listen to the frustrations of our husband or our man in our lives and let them rant and talk, because sometimes people just want to be heard. They want to be listened to. And if you talk and he talks, and the conflict is going to arise and escalation, and all of a sudden there's going to be problems, and then that's going to be a whole gamut of trying to de-escalate the thing. That's why the Bible is clear in, I believe, 2 Timothy 2:23 that says, avoid conflict and foolish disputes, because they will generate strife. There are things in our life that we just have to brush it off and says, it's not worth it. It is hard to do that, especially when you are getting emotional too. There are amygdala, right? You have an amygdala, it gets hijacked. We have this, either we fight or we flight. Either we freeze or we fawn. So there are times in our life that we just want to attack back because we have been, there is a alert in our system that says, what are you going to do? Are you going to fight back? This person is saying this. And of course, as a human being who is especially emotional, of course, our tendency is to fight back. Our tendency is to say something that we want to say back to a person. But when we have the Spirit of God, God would say, just be quiet. Because also in the Bible, it says, avoid argument with a foolish person. You do not correct a foolish person or a scoffer, because they will hate you. They're not going to love you. When you correct a foolish man or a woman, they're just going to despise you for it. However, if you correct a wise person gently and kindly, they will love you for it. So again, it's not about what we say. It's also about how we say the words. As I said, it's not just saying words, although your motive is good, but sometimes it doesn't come off or come on as the way that you want it to. That's why all of the times with my husband or my son, majority of their complaints is about not what you say, it's about how you say it. Because sometimes we might have a good message, or we want them to share, to say something for their own good, but sometimes we come off very aggressive. We are so blunt, or we're straightforward. And as a person like myself who is a straightforward, I don't usually embellish things. I don't sugarcoat things. That is an art that I have to learn. Communication is an art that you have to learn how to navigate through difficult relationships and difficult conversation. One of the ways, as I said, I've always been learning about, of course, I would say Audrey Hepburn, the way she responds to things. Not defensive, not aggressive. She is a person that I can really admire, even though she has passed away many years ago, because when she speaks, she enunciates things, and there is a rhythm and there's a melody. And that is something that we all can learn from the women of old age, Julie Andrews too. These are women that somehow we don't see that anymore in this world that we see. We don't often see that in Hollywood or celebrities. These are the art that has been gone. But when you look back to the old age, the old glamour of Hollywood stars, of how they possess grace and timelessness and the elegance and the way they speak, these women, for me, is timeless. These are the epitome that we should look up to. Not the kind of women today that are obnoxious, loud, ostentatious, arrogant, masculine energy. That is something that as a society we must be aware of, especially now. We have to go back to our feminine energy, to exude gentleness and quietness in the way that we speak, because apparently it is not something that we talk about in our Western culture, because the Western culture is always emphasizing in loudness, empowerment, opinionated women. But as apparently it's good in a boardroom meeting, but it's not so good in your bedroom. It's going to create conflict in your marriage. That's why we have to really dance between the masculine and the feminine energy. As I said, I've talked about this on my channel. One of the reasons why women are loud and obnoxious because they have been trying to survive. I am aware now. That's why I'm very masculine most of my life, because I've been taking care of everybody in my life. I was the boss babe. I was the mama bear as a child. I was helping my mother as a child at the age of 9 or 10, 11 because my dad was not present. So anytime my mom is away, I have to step in. I have to take charge. I have to be in control, and I have to figure out what to cook for my brothers and my sisters. And so when you are functioning in that masculine energy, you are going to be strong, self-sufficient, independent, a boss babe, giving orders. That's like a masculine. Until I came here too. I went to college. I put myself to college. I got myself a job. I lived by myself. Nobody helped me there financially. And so I also was functioning in my masculinity. And when you're functioning in your masculine energy, guess what? You're going to speak loudly. You're going to be a straight shooter. You're going to just say it without filter, because that's how a man talks. Men usually speak with no filter. They don't go by their emotion. Most of them are rational. They're not irrational like women. They are not emotional like women. So when you have that kind of energy, because all of your life you have been in commander-in-chief because you had to survive, you have to be independent. Otherwise, what are you going to be? Just being outside. And that's why majority of this communication skills is something that I have to learn, and I have to ask myself the questions, why do I act or talk this way? It's because I have so many masculine energy, because that's exactly how a man speaks. So now I'm trying to tap into this feminine. The words that I say is more important, is also important in how I deliver the message and how I convey the message that is not, cursing at someone or belittling them or judging them whatsoever. So that is all, my beautiful, lovely, fabulous friends, that I would like for you to think about the impact of our words make. So I hope that you are blessed with this message. If you are, feel free to like, share, subscribe on my channel. I will see you on my next video. Have a wonderful day ahead of you.